mayor of iLembe district, Shandu. All of them welcome. This briefing actually belongs in the main to the mayors as they represent their municipalities following this disaster. However, we felt that it's important that we come together. Firstly, we want to extend our condolences to the water workers who have since been gunned down. In eThekwini, I'm told 2 of them, one this morning and the other a day or so ago. And Mayor Kaunda would know better about them. But since we started working following the disaster, we've been together with them. Our condolences to the families. We are in the main wanting to express our concerns in this media briefing with regard to the sewer leakages or spillages following damages to our infrastructure, particularly wastewater infrastructure, particularly belonging to these municipalities that are here, and in particular eThekwini. You would all recall, ladies and gentlemen and the public, that on the 15th of April, we held a joint media briefing with my colleagues, cabinet colleagues from national level in different departments. In that media briefing, among other things, we announced the establishment of a war room, which would all be inclusive, the municipalities, and I must say that others are yet to join or get invited, like Umsunduze, Renkonyene and Herikwala. They are still going to be invited here. And then they also include Umgeni Water, which is represented here by the chair, Gabsi Matenjo. And we established a war room in which we pledged to work together, not only in a narrow agenda of fixing what is broken, but going beyond that in relation to water and wastewater infrastructure in these municipalities. So we have established that, and several meetings have been held by the war room. They have reported to us as principals twice already on details of what has broken, on what is the impact thereof in terms of supply to the demand, and what are the alternatives that are being provided, and overall, where are we in terms of recovery of supplies to the pre-disaster period, and how do we map up the way forward beyond the disaster. I will then take this opportunity and just focus on infrastructure, water infrastructure, which is provided for by Umgeni Water, which is the water and sanitation entity. And just speak briefly, after which I'll allow mayors, starting with the Metro, just to give the public some updates and highlights on water and infrastructure. We during the or at the outbreak of the disaster or the storm, we have reported and we continue to report that main damage to bulk infrastructure provided for by Umgeni Water was on the 2 aqueducts or big pipes that bring water to eThekwini, particularly the Durban Heights water treatment plant. And those were literally broken to a point where currently they are dysfunctional. and there are two twin main pipes supplying water to Durban Heights. Now, that damage, which was as a result of the landslide in an area called Molweni, where the pipes pass, meant that eThekwini lost 280 megaliters of raw water supply to Durban Heights treated plant, meaning a reduction, therefore, down to 175 megaliters per day from other sources. Now, as an interim measure, what has happened is that we then had to, via Umgeni, improve the average output of the pump shafts to more to something like 100 megaliters per day, which is the case today, because we needed more water following the loss. And then from other sources, we needed to try and pump more water from the pump shaft so that there would be increase of raw water volumes to Durban Heights. Now, as a result of that intervention, an additional 50 megaliters has now been made available. But yes, as from the 24th, from that emergency shaft pumps, we are making this announcement and this communication to the public so that there isn't a lot of increased anxiety in terms of the supply of raw water and treated water output to the communities as we move from the storm. As for the aqueducts 1 and 2, because I've covered 3 and 4 by saying that we are pumping from those so that we increase water both into the plant and into communities. Now, in relation to the one that I said completely broke down, 1 and 2 from Nagel Dam, we are, Umgeni Water is procuring and for the repairs, the service provider for the repairs, and they will announce once the contractor is on the field, probably from Monday, to start working on that. I must say we are setting up a big clock for every project that we're embarking into. So as soon as they get to the ground, we'll set up a clock with their agreement as to their starting day up to their completion day, getting it from them as a contractor to say how long are they going to be fixing this. And once we have announced, we would want them to strictly adhere to the days as announced or the hours announced in the big clock. Now, as for costs of the damaged pipes, including in Umgeni water pipes in the south of Durban, in central Durban, north of Durban, for now, it is coming to more than 857 million rand, just falling short of 1 billion rand. It's quite a big amount of money. These are rough estimates. Once those who get contracted to do the work, they will give us the exact figures. But with regard to iLembe, in terms of costs, in terms of their damage overall, it is coming to 63 million so far in terms of estimates, and 12 million rand for Mgungundlovu and 1 billion for eThekwini. These are just overall figures that we have been able to collect so far. And by the 15th of May, we should be in a position to announce some certainty about the amounts that are needed in terms of covering the disaster from the water sector point of view and sanitation, of course. Now, I want to move and close by saying that with regard to sanitation, we are very concerned about the damage to sanitation infrastructure in all these municipalities that we've counted and more. And to that effect, we want to, and we are aware of the resulting spillage and therefore pollution of our rivers and the sea in and around the eThekwini and the surrounding municipalities. Now, we need to act very fast and decisively on this matter. We have therefore asked our Director General, Dr. Sean Phillips, to come down next Sunday to hold a meeting with MMs of these municipalities, including those that are not here, and to quickly ascertain the amount of spillage to the rivers and amount of damage or the extent of damage to sanitation infrastructure and what it would take to do quick repairs and then lasting repairs. We're aware that as we do this, the approach that we're going to be using is to take advantage of this disaster. Most of these municipalities, and the eThekwini included, before the disaster would already have been in a deficit in terms of their aging infrastructure and the functionality thereof, but also in terms of the capacity of such infrastructure from underground pipes to the plants themselves, including the pump stations. We will therefore work on an approach with the honorable mayors in their municipalities that says, let us at the same time take this opportunity and renew our infrastructure so that we don't merely confine ourselves to repairs and smaller refurbishments, but using huge amounts of money. We want to take advantage to be comprehensive and include a renewal program with regard to our infrastructure along the lines that I've indicated, so that for some time after this disaster, we say the disaster came, we were already on the edge of disaster in terms of our aging infrastructure. We now have taken advantage for renewal in all of this, so that our infrastructure gets positioned of better sustainability going to the future. Let me now ask Mayor Kaunda to make his statement, and each of the honorable mayors thereafter, and that will kind of conclude our first briefing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, Deputy Ministers, my colleagues, district mayors present, and all officials and members of the media. Firstly, we'd like to commend you, Honorable Minister, for providing leadership during this very difficult period. The support we are getting from your office and from deputy ministers, it's highly commendable. We appreciate this opportunity to update the Committee of KwaZulu-Natal eThekwini once again about the progress we are making in restoring water and sanitation services to our communities. It is a matter of public record, Honourable Minister, that these were the worst floods we have seen in many years, and they've caused an extensive damage to our water and sanitation infrastructure. We are pleased that we have been able to restore services in a number of areas in the city despite the magnitude of this challenge. Water supply has been improved by 60% in the inner and outer west regions. There is also a noticeable improvement in the central and north region. of 50 and 40% respectively. We still have some challenges in the southern region due to damage that occurred on the Umlazi Canal pipeline, which affects water supply in areas such as Prospecting, Umlazi, and Isipingo. A temporary pipeline has been laid, and we are confident that by the end of this week, water supply will be restored in most of the areas that are affected on the south. Due to heavy rains and storm damage, the water treatment plant in Otongat was severely damaged, which has affected the supply of water in areas like Ward 61 and 62. This infrastructure requires a full upgrade, which will take approximately 6 months to repair. As an interim measure, we are procuring a package plant that will enable us to purify raw water in the area, working with Umgeni Water as well. We are also planning to utilize Hazelmere Dam as an alternative supply center. In all areas where our water networks was affected, we have deployed 186 water tankers, and 9 filling points have been identified to ensure that water tankers do not queue for a long time in the filling stations. On sanitation, Honourable Minister, the city's sanitation and wastewater infrastructure has also been severely affected by the storm, including wastewater treatment works, pump stations, wastewater networks reticulation, and the containerized ablution facilities that are providing water and sanitation services, especially to informal settlements. The city is implementing the immediate intervention to do repairs on the infrastructure in all areas of eThekwini municipality to mitigate the impact of pollution. Our teams are on the ground prioritizing areas such as Dazimuk, Glenwood, Kwandengezi, Otongati, Umbilo, Umdloti, Umhlanga, Kwamashu, Hammersdale, among others. We have also categorized these areas as hotspots for pollution, hence we are moving with speed to implement the remedial measures. The city is grateful of the intervention by the Minister and Deputy Ministers of Water and Sanitation for providing much needed resources to assist our teams on the ground in finalizing assessments to determine extent of the damage on the sanitization and wastewater infrastructure. Pollution and control teams have been activated to continuously monitor water quality in our rivers, and our communication units has been continuously sending alerts to the public about the progress we are making in dealing with the spillages emanating from the excessive storm damage to our infrastructure. At our ESCO meeting on Friday, Honourable Minister, we also agreed to reprioritize budget to fund all immediate interventions required to repair the damaged infrastructure. Within this short period, we have identified an amount of 600 million which will start intervening as we also require 1 billion rands, but we'll have to start doing the work that is immediate with the money that is in our disposal. So we are working with all structures and communities. Our councillors are on the ground working with their respective communities, especially to spread information in relation to what is going to happen in fixing the infrastructure that has broken. So with the support of communities, Honourable Minister, to understand and to be patient with us as we are engaged in the repairs of this infrastructure will be highly appreciated. There is no water tanker, Honourable Minister, that is sent to the houses of leaders. We send water tankers in all areas that are affected. Where it happens that a water tanker will park in front of the house of a leader, it doesn't imply that that water tanker is catered or it is arranged to cater for the leader that the property is closer to the water tanker. But water tankers are servicing communities and people are queuing for that service. All of us have been following that suit. So We'd like to correct the information that was misleading. That suggests that there is a water tanker which was directly sent to a particular house. It is not true, and we are not doing that. And our councillors on the ground, working with ward committees, are ensuring that the water have no boundaries. People need water regardless of their political affiliation. I thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mayor Kaunda. Honourable Mayor Malala.
Honourable Minister and Deputy Ministers, Mayors present and media, greetings to all. Mngungundlovu, we must indicate that Mngungundlovu was also affected by the recent disasters, but we must indicate that, of course, the magnitude of the challenges we experienced cannot be compared to our neighbors in eThekwini. As Mngungundlovu, Honourable Minister, we are, as a Water Services Authority, we are servicing 6 local municipalities, Umshwathi, Umngeni, Mpofana, Impendle, Mkambatini, and Richmond. And we must indicate that all these municipalities were affected in one way or the other as a result of the damages, as a result of the recent floods. We do want to indicate, though, that Mngungundlovu and all the areas that in all the municipalities that it is servicing, it did not experience major infrastructural damages. We, for instance, where we experienced some damages in terms of in infrastructure which disrupted the provision of services. In the main, it was around Mpofana, and the disruption was caused by the submerging of a raw water abstraction pump, which got flooded as a result of the heavy rains, which caused a disruption to the supply of water into our reservoir, which services Mpofana communities. So, but we must indicate that once the levels of water lowered in that particular area, Umngeni water and our teams quickly moved to repair the pumps and water supply has been restored. But as an interim relief, when the problem was still being experienced in that part of the district, 11 water tankers were deployed to supply people with water in that particular part of the district. We must also indicate that in other municipalities like Impendle, Mkambatini, Richmond, Umshwathi, and Umngeni, as I've indicated, we did not have major infrastructural damages. What got disrupted in terms of the provision of service there was as a result of the inaccessible roads which were flooded, particularly in the areas which are serviced by water tankers on a regular basis, because in those particular areas we haven't laid bulk infrastructure to provide water, and we haven't reticulated water. So people wouldn't have had water in those areas in the main because access roads were washed away and they were inaccessible, and trucks could not deliver water into those particular communities. So, but as the weather conditions improved, water supply through water tankers was restored in those particular areas. But we must also indicate that those in those particular communities, we do need to replace JoJo tankers, which we had deployed before before the disasters, which we were using as storage facilities if water tankers deliver water into those areas. So when the floods occurred, some of those JoJo tanks were damaged, but people are getting water. We will just need to replace those facilities. But people are getting water directly from water tankers at this particular stage. So the situation is back to normal in those particular areas. In relation to water treatment plants, which all of them in this district are managed and serviced by Umgeni Water, we must say that we're lucky that they were not affected at all. They did not sustain any damages as a result of the floods. So in that particular regard, we should say that at least we did not experience challenges in that regard. But we must say that in relation to spillages, the problem is not as profound as we get to hear about it in other areas. What we do have, but we had a challenge as a result of the floods in Umgeni municipality. Particularly, the problem was just confined in the area of Mpopomeni, where that occurred as a result of the blockages in the sewer lines, not because the wastewater treatment plants was affected. It's a particular piece of a sewer line where there was a blockage and that caused the spillages. So our teams have been on the ground and they are dealing with that particular matter so that the affluent does not the environment in a negative way. So that is controlled. We visited this particular site even yesterday afternoon, and we see that when we saw that things are really under control. Maybe as a parting shot, we do want to indicate that in as much as bulk infrastructure was not greatly damaged and affected, but some of the pipelines we did experience that some were eroded and they are now exposed, and there is work that will need to be done to cover those particular areas. But we also need to just replace the water storage facilities in the form of JoJo tanks in the areas that were ordinarily serviced through water tankers. So the calculated cost of what we just need to do to recover from this, we have it's costed, and it's around just over 14 million. What we just need just to recover from the recent disasters. So otherwise, we just want to say to the people of Umgungundlovu, and the situation is now under control. There are no areas, we must confirm, where we are not able to provide water at this particular stage in the different modes that we use to deliver water in the districts. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Honorable Mayor Oku. Mayor Oku, unmute. I think there's a problem. Let's take iLembe, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Shandu. All right. I think they may be experiencing technical issues. Let me emphasize the point that from all our meetings and the operations of the war room, we are not aware of any biased distribution of water as was alleged by somebody from the DA on the other day. There's no tanker from DWS, from the municipality and from the municipalities and from the entity that is instructed to choose one area over the other, except following the criteria that has been drawn in terms of need. Other than that, there's no political partying in that regard. And want to dispel that. Two, that when the DG comes here on Sunday here in KwaZulu-Natal to meet the experts and technicians and MMs, they will also touch base with the environmentalists and other experts in pollution so that we keep the extent of pollution under check or under the spotlight, so that we warn the public as and when we become aware of any danger in terms of water purity. At this stage, I want to take it back to you, Sputnik.
Thank you very much, Minister and the executive mayors and the honorable mayors. What we will do, Minister, is to take a round of questions. We do have some of our colleagues that are on the platform. There are a couple of WhatsApp groups that we all belong to that they can use to be able to ask those questions, unless they can raise their hands as well, and we can be able to see. But maybe just as to get off the ground, Minister, there's a question that says, does the minister agree or concede that the floods have somehow exposed, highlighted, or exacerbated the struggle of residents in getting water even before the floods? And this is a question from Cliff. He is with Chakranda FM. Minister, maybe if we can take the second one, there's Des Erasmus. Des, you can identify yourself and the media house that you are representing and then ask your question before we take the answers. Thank you.
Thanks, Sputnik. Can you hear me? Sputnik,
yes, we can hear you.
Oh,
we
thank
can
you
hear
so much.
Yeah. Des, yeah.
Yes, sorry, it's Des Erasmus. I'm freelance. And I was just wanting to know, are contractors for the work at eThekwini going to be chosen according to the city's RET policy framework? And then my second question, eThekwini had, prior to the floods, embarked on a multi-billion rand upgrade of its wastewater and water infrastructure, all of its piping, as was documented to parliamentary committees some months ago. I just wanted to know that, what is the budgeted allocation for this? I believe it was in the multi-million or hundreds of millions, almost on a billion. And how is this going to affect the money that is going to be coming to government? In other words, are the amounts going to be merged, or are they going to be separated? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Desiree. Minister, if we could start with the executive mayor, maybe to give responses to the two questions, and then we'll come to the minister. Executive mayor, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's welcome the question. The Council has got a policy on the radical socio-economic transformation, which is applicable to all the contracts that we issue as a city. And that policy have been tried and tested. We have taken into consideration the implications of the Constitutional Court in that regard. So we are implementing that policy. So whatever that will be procuring as a city, that policy will still stand to ensure that those who are not participating in the economy are also given the opportunity to participate. But what becomes the primary objective and priority for us as a city is to get quality service that we'll get from the service providers. So we are looking for that, no compromise, nothing less than that. So when you are given a contract, you must deliver and deliver on time, but the quality assurance will be checked in all the contracts that will be issued. Yes, of course, we have reprioritized our budget, and in the billion that we need, we said now we'll be able to secure 600 million rand to start working on some of these major repairs that we need to effect in the area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor. Yes, over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor. Firstly, the response to Chakranda. Yes, this disaster has highlighted, it has exposed, and it has exacerbated the need to address water and infrastructure related matters and the overall supply of water to communities. Now, you'll recall, after we got appointed last year, we went to all provinces holding 3-day engagements. And during those engagements, up to the our summit on 18 and 19 Feb this year, we have repeatedly said that it has become clear that it's no myth to say that we either have old or dysfunctional infrastructure to quite a remarkable extent. And this affects our capacity overall, together with municipalities, to service people on the ground. And therefore, it was time we attended to issues of old and dysfunctional infrastructure, but also in terms of capacity as a result of additional people in various cities of that require services of water. And therefore, it was a matter, even without the storm, that would have needed urgent attention. That is capacity of our infrastructure and the nature of dysfunctionality and age, including asbestos, not only in the eThekwini, not only in Mkungundlovu or the districts in KZN, but all over the country, in all the provinces across the board. That became very clear to us factually, not in terms of thought. And therefore, over and above the exposure and highlighting and exacerbating, we're already aware through our own initiative for the need to do this. And what is important is that we've started attending to this. We've started in the Free State, and of course we are attending via key major schemes and other means throughout the Republic in terms of attending to these matters. I know that there's another question on Claro Water and Windolins, and Honorable Mayor Kaunda would for sure attend to this after the press briefing that people of Claro Water and people of St. Windolins are saying that they don't have water. They've been without water for some time. And I'm sure through our war room, because the convener of the war room, Msweli, who is at the same time head of water in eThekwini, is here, and they can juggle the water tankers and cover those communities that are complaining right now. And that's the advantage of working together in the way that we are doing, because where the city runs short, then other levels of government can then intervene. so that we cover all communities. Sputnik, back to you.
Minister, I'm made to understand that the mayor of iLembe is here as well, but he was battling with connectivity when you asked him to speak. I don't know if we still have time for him to make his inputs.
Mayor, you can make your short input before we wind down.
Thanks, the Honorable Minister and the Deputy Ministers and my colleagues, the Honorable Mayors. If I may check, am I audible, Honorable Minister?
Yes.
Okay, thanks very much. Now, as the iLembe municipality following the floods and the damage on iLembe municipal infrastructure, the teams have been working around the clock, carrying out the repairs, especially on the pipelines to restore water and sanitation services. To date, most areas in Guatemala are still challenged. Water pipes got washed away. Some are repairable and some require replacement. While carrying out repairs, some areas have to be isolated to minimize water losses. We are, however, providing water to isolated areas via water tankers, Honorable Minister. The sewage system as well in Guatemala has been severely affected, filled with sands, and therefore unable to collect sewage to the Stenga waste water treatment works. We are currently working on unblocking and reconnecting the system to minimize the pollution. Stenga wastewater works treatment also got flooded. In Mandini, Honorable Minister, water infrastructure was slightly affected in Tugela area, but the sewer infrastructure suffered the most due to sand ingress. Sundumbili sewage treatment works is currently off due to flooding of the buildings, pumps and cycling tanks and other equipment. We are currently working on dislodging of tanks that were flooded with the storm water and sand to speed up the restoration of the treatment process. In Dwetwe, Honorable Minister, water infrastructure has been badly affected. The pipes got washed away. A number of water treatment facilities like Montobello, Intuze, Estumbeni got flooded and are currently offline. Although Montobello and Intuze have been brought back into action, they've been brought back into action. They are still operating at half capacity. It's half capacity due to some damages to some components. The team are currently busy with the pipes repairing repairs to restore the services. Most areas that are currently served via water tankers until the repairs are complete. Water infrastructure in Mapumulo has also been affected, where pipes were washed away, some left exposed to soil erosion, thus increasing the break risk due to lack of support. Simbitwa water treatment works in Tulin and Ochen are both currently offline due to the flooding of raw water abstraction sumps and pumps. This means that both facilities are not producing quality and the community is dependent on water tankers. The borehole servicing the community of Opatini, Bukalo, Embuluini, and Kwandaba has been compromised with the increased dependency on water tankers. The Department of Water and Sanitation, Honorable Minister, together with COXA, I must appreciate that have been intervened and provided water tankers to augment the existing iLembe district municipality trucks. Department of Water and Sanitation provided us with 12 trucks and COXA with 8 trucks. These have been distributed among the 4 local municipalities within iLembe district municipality. It is important to note that some of the repairs are temporary solutions to get the service back to the people. The damages, however, Honorable Minister, requires a major reconstruction of the entire system. The floods did not affect iLembe district municipal infrastructure. They also affected Umgeni water infrastructure, which supplies iLembe with bulk water. The Ellesmere Dam was or is flooded and water is muddy, resulting to difficulty in purifying it. This has led to the reduction in the production volumes, resulting to the reduced supply. Areas which are getting water regular supply are getting intermittent supply. Mapumulo scheme is also affected or impacted by the turbidity. The plant and the package plant are not coping with the quality. As a result, reduced volumes are supplied, impacting on the water supply in Maphumulo, Ndwedwe, and Kwaduza areas. I would like to thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor. Back to you, Sputnik. I think for now we're covered, unless Uku are now here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister and Executive Mayor. I haven't got an indication of Ugu's presence, Minister, but I don't see any new questions coming through. And maybe DM would like to say something. DM Mashogo?
No, the minister has covered me. Comrade Mayor, Mamalala is here, Matunga.
No, it's from Mkungudlo. Mamalala has already been already made his input.
Umtian.
Yes, Umtian.
So she's still not here. No, I'm fine.
Sputnik, who are in your hands, back in your hands. We just want to close by saying that we would like the community of the affected areas around the eThekwini, Mkungudlo, Uku, and iLembe to be assured that we are on the task. We are wide awake. We are working together. We are augmenting the resources that each one of us has for the benefit of the community, and that we are on top of things. We are going to do our best to make sure that we're not interrupted by any form of corruption, just looking at service and providing that service to the best of our ability within reasonable speed. Very soon, we will be announcing completion of each of the projects that we're engaging on at the moment once we are on top of things in terms of gathering that information in each of these areas by each one of us. With that, we thank you very much for your attention out there, and we are going to constantly brief you and update you as we proceed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, Deputy Minister.
Thank you.
Honorable Mayors.
Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues from the media.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks to the
We've
war
come to
room.
the end.
Thank you.